Welcome to my playlist of the SOULworks Trilogy, which are the chapters of my life so far. It's my homecoming book, compiled of 3 books in one. We are still working the way through. We're in book number 2, called Evolving Your SOULworks, A Miraculous Journey. And thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't know if I can say that enough, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. I'm thankful for having made it this far along my path. And I am thankful to meet you here. Okay. Chapter 38 is called Starting Anew. I have a few antichrists in my life and have, in all honesty, also played that role on many more times than I care to admit. I believe we all do. We all have at least one person who we always manage, who always manages to make us feel insignificant or unworthy. And if you take the time to observe the exchange in energy, these relationships are often lopsided. They are, in terms of truly being there for one another in many respects. The Antichrist conscious energy tries to direct our lives or fill our shoes whenever the opportunity arises, continuously making our soul development all about them. Overall, these relationships reside in opposition of true love, compassion, and heartfelt service. That comes with a Christ-conscious level of awareness. Instead, they come from the consciousness of ego, competition, fear. You see where I'm going with that? Okay. Looking at this closer, I have also come to realize people only fill these roles in our lives because we let them. When we fear we are unworthy, people show up in our lives in alignment with those belief structures. Likewise, we only fill these roles in someone else's life because they allow us to. Through their own fears and insecurities. In doing so, the Antichrist conscious energy is in some way, shape, or form always trying to be in control and in the center of attention, while the Christ conscious energy is always vying to give up some sort of perceived control or responsibility. In that respect, we are each just reacting and responding to the vibrations and belief systems being put out into the world by ourselves and others. I think it is because of a complete lack of self-confidence on everyone's part. The majority of society does not feel worthy. We don't. And then there are some who perhaps feel a little bit too worthy. If we could all just stand in the divine light that is our own, without trying to also stand in someone else's energy or experience or control it in any way, then there might actually be hope for peace on this earth. Now, at one point, I realized I only felt lesser or unable to stand in my own truth when someone else was putting out the vibe that they were perhaps greater, more important, or more worthy to stand in my role. Nobody is more worthy to stand in our own unique role. Nobody is more worthy to stand in our own unique individual roles ever. Period. Who we are is who we are. That being said, I did not want anyone else to feel the way. That being said, I did not want anyone else to feel that way from the thought forms I was projecting out into the world. I know what it is like to have someone make me feel inferior or try to manipulate your reality. I also know what it is like for people to place too many expectations on you. I never wanted to replicate that projection onto anyone else. I believe this dueling activity has been going on forever. And I believe that most of the time we are unaware we are even doing this to each other. For myself, it has been an ongoing struggle of growth, compassion, and understanding at a soul level until I was finally able to rise above the constant battle and embrace my worthiness to stand in my role while honoring the roles of everyone else. These relationships can provide an abundance of opportunity for inner growth. In fact, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for these relationships and the growth available through the art of reflection and mirroring. The day I finally shifted my perspective wasn't exactly my greatest moment of glory. Not even close. I was angry. I was angry with the back and forth combat that came from feeling confident in who I was, followed by instantly feeling down again and under attack. At one point, I yelled to the heavens, if I'm truly living out revelation, and you really, really want me to battle this darkness that keeps pulling my confidence down, I will. I yelled. If there is an energy in this world that keeps making me feel small, inferior, or unworthy, then help me remove it once and for all. What purpose does it hold other than to make people feel lesser than others or submerged in self-doubt? Now, what I didn't realize at the time was that by pushing my energy field out beyond my own personal auric space in a need to defend my role or story, I was in fact operating within an inferior mindset. I was. As opposed to working internally on my own self-confidence and heart-centered balance, what I was creating was more imbalance externally by means of my own ego-driven insecurities and power struggles. Ironically, the exact back and forth combat and feelings of being under attack I was trying to eliminate only caused more upheaval as I projected the exact same energy right back out into the world. Now this really hit home hard, fast, and furious when I realized and received an online message. A bad weather storm had suddenly diverted its original path and was heading straight for a well-populated community. Not only that, but the storm had built in both strength and rage at the exact time and location I focused my energy, with the intention to cause harm. Holy shit, I thought to myself. What have I just done? The next few hours of my life were ones of sheer panic. I knew my thoughts created reality, and I knew I was linked to the sudden change in weather. What I didn't know was how I was going to stop it and right my wrong. First, I started with heartfelt prayers. I know I did this. I know I did. I know my rage has created this storm. I also know I want it to stop. Please send me the angelic supports I need to make it so. Then I started to frantically journal. I had been living this revelation life for far too long. My constant battle was very real, and I didn't like it. Not at all. I wrote about how I knew this was part of my path, but that I was changing it. Now here are some excerpts from those journal entries. Now is not the time to be naive by the power we hold to co-create change in this world, nor is it time to utilize this power to divide or make judgments upon others. Now is the time to harness that power of love by treating all people with compassion and understanding. Now is the time to change the outcome and story of this world. With this awareness, I will stop the storm without causing any harm or damage to any man, woman, or child, Christ or Antichrist, enlightened or asleep person in this world. For my world is not meant to be a place of destruction. It is a place of love. It is a place of love. It's a safe space where souls can come and learn what it feels like to be in this strange thing we call humanity, being human. I will give my love to all who need it. I will stop the darkness in myself and this world, not by fighting it, but by loving it completely and unconditionally. If the book of Revelation was written about this very moment in time and was a reflection of my own experience, then I truly also have the free will to change the story. I am making all things new, and so it is. Blessed be. Now, thankfully, the storm did stop that night. It went from being a huge upheaval to a small wind within an hour. Not one single person was injured that day. I spent a lot of time in contemplation about what this series of events even meant. What kind of an awful person was I to let my rage get the best of me? Why did this drama need to unfold? Why are people like this in our lives? Why are we like this in the lives of other people? And why do we continue this age-old struggle of battle? My guide cited more scripture to my mounting questions. It was Psalm 23, verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. They further explained that when you stay calm in the vibration of love and are able to see your perceived enemies as part of source energy, who are also just trying to find their way, then it is like the philosopher's stone, where everything flows abundantly. The next day I received 2 confirmations of the events that unfolded. One was a friend who told me they heard me call for help and worked with me that night to calm the storm. The other was a friend who randomly sent a quote from the Bible, Revelation 21:5. Behold, I am making all things new. Now I know that we all have our own version of Revelation. I know I may be more connected to the story than most, but I also know the teachings are the same and apply to everyone, even me. We all have darkness to overcome in our lives, both within ourselves and also within those we let diminish our truth. If we are to be completely honest with ourselves, we must also realize we do this to others. Of course we do. As I've learned through my experiences with biblical text, we all stand in both aspects of the story. Nobody's perfect, nor do we have to be. But when you push up against dark thoughts or actions being projected our way, we just create more of it, and in fact embody the darkness by the exact act of implementing our own negative thoughts and actions back towards another. Fact. This inferiority-superiority complex keeps cycling minute by minute as we continuously react and respond to the very thought forms being projected. This is always the case, even when we feel justified to defend our own divinity or territory. Instead, we must first acknowledge that we are all deserving and worthy to live within our full strength of inner light without putting ourselves above or below anybody. We may currently live in a world of vast contrast, where much darkness abounds, but we must continue to focus on the vibration and reality we wish to achieve, not instigate or create more of the same. Heart-centered awareness is the only solution. Peace is a learned state of being. As I ponder this more and more, my heart aches, actually. Why are the majority of people waiting for Christ to battle in Revelation? Will this solve anything? Is someone truly being a Christ-conscious energy if they wage war upon another? To me, it just puts us back into a karmic cycle of claiming we are above another. We cannot continue to live out revelation and still move into oneness. We must rewrite the story and make our understandings new. Would it not be a kinder, gentler new world if we were to treat each other with respect? Can we not learn to rise above this cycle? Is the whole world really waiting for a kinder, gentler new world and expecting that to happen through a battle? Are we not wiser than that yet? Dark does exist in our lives via our egos, and I do believe we're meant to move beyond this dualistic state into love. However, the only way to get there is by extending more love and compassion, not more hate, segregation, racism, conflict, negativity, finger pointing, or aggression. Fact. Your thoughts, words, and deeds are what makes your soul accountable and dictates what vibration you reside within. You can be a faithful Christian and yet still put bad vibes into the world through your judgments and criticisms. You can be an avid Buddhist, yet still commit hate crimes towards others. You can be a stellar contributor to your community, yet still direct negative abuse, verbal or otherwise, to those within your home. You can even be an amazingly spiritually connected avatar, yet still fail to match your actual actions with the higher vibration of heart-centered energy. It's not your race, religion, or creed that will determine who is able to enter this expanded state of awareness of a new kingdom. It's the size of your heart. It's the size of your heart. It is our actions in life that determine what role we play on a moment-to-moment basis. Christ or Antichrist. Love or anti-love. It is always a choice. An Antichrist is anyone whose actions go against the teachings of love. There are many souls in both the past and present that have chosen to pull away from the heart of the matter and move further into ego. Everyone can relate. Everyone can relate at overcoming this battle. And everyone can relate to the inner growth achievable through this obscure journey depicted within these ancient texts. After my experience with moving to a new state of mind, I stumbled upon further Gnostic texts within the Nag Hammadi scriptures, divinely surfaced, that described the process of revelation and soul ascension. To them, there's a 7-step journey to inner growth and enlightenment, and the 7th and final step was experiencing wrath and yet taking the path of love. Amen to that. I couldn't have described it better myself. Now, there's no cookie-cutter path or solution for what any one person's journey looks like to achieve this state of being. Every soul's path is different. Only you will know if you're following your soul or compromising for the sake of others. Or on the flip side, you are the only one who can recognize when you are moving forward with your ego, valuing your own personal development more than helping the greater good. Regardless of the path we take, it is time to find the balance between the I and the we mentality. Many religious doctrines and the Bible itself are based on segregation, with groups of people proclaiming to be the chosen ones. In celebrating this reality, they are also quite willing to let millions of people suffer for their own well-being. Is that truly what love would do? I know when push came to shove, I could not go through the reality of battle. Over and over again, I could not go through that. Nor could I just help one person without stopping the storm from hurting all involved. Years of faith will amount to nothing if they are not accompanied with compassion. A new world will only dawn when we are able to see and change the limiting behavior. Excuse me. Oh, I'll be right back. It's a tough one to work through. A new world will only dawn when we are able to see and change the limiting behaviors of leaving someone behind in order to save another. I'm not above this problem. I'm in it. Feel the resistance? Say it anyways, hey? Evolving your soul works. There are two general teachings of this world. The religious aspect that in the past has primarily focused on teachings of fear, darkness, and battles of cosmic proportions. These souls are anxiously waiting for Messiah to save them, to wipe away their sins regardless of what they have done in this physical world. They look to scriptures for guidance, have feared psychic development, and have looked to someone other than themselves for answers. Finding your voice, hey? The modern aspect teaches intuitive development and co-creating your own physical reality based on your own soul's desires. Within this mindset, we learn how to put our desires and ourselves first and foremost. We are taught that only we ourselves can save us from our own experiences, and that we only need to look out for numero uno, number one. Oh my gosh. These teachings believe that darkness is good and that it serves a purpose to live in a dualistic nature. It also teaches that all of our emotions are good and need to be expressed regardless of how it affects others. My teachings are somewhere in the middle, and I take both concepts into account. I know that we are meant to develop our own intuitive abilities and connect with our higher self in order to experience enlightenment. I also know the further we open ourselves up to this reality, the more we are able to see the world for what it truly is today, surrounded by darkness and light. I believe the dark energies represented in the beautiful yin and yang balance, masculine and feminine union, have nothing to do with this dark, overpowering energy that has built over time in response to human lies, greed, jealousy, fear, dominating attitudes, suppression, control, and power struggles that each individual has the capacity to either overturn or exude. I know and teach that we have the power to co-create our world, but I also strive to make people understand we must do so by thinking of the greater good, not just our own soul development. I teach that our negative emotions are important aspects that need to be acknowledged and expressed, but only so that we can note where our own personal development is still lacking, and then utilize this energy to create greater good. True manifestors of the light will always take the time to think and help others. It's not an everyone for themselves kind of system. It is a weave of interconnectivity that forms the web we live in. When we push our own agendas instead of considering the greater good, we are crossing from we are coming from a wrong state of awareness. Truth. When we think our ways are superior, then we are in fact vibrating at an inferior level. When we are in constant battle, as opposed to inner and outer peace, then we have still not found the right state of mind. Oneness is not the state of knowing we are all connected. It is the state of acting like we are. I have to repeat that. Oneness is not the state of knowing we are all connected. It is the state of acting like we are. Mastery comes from always choosing love. It's not always easy, but it's from always choosing love. I'm not claiming to be there. Still working on it. I'm not claiming to be there. But I am claiming to strive for that reality. Why? Because I know we're constantly co-creating our reality through our thoughts. Battling doesn't end our destruction. Rising above it does. I know this because I've experienced it when I put my own well-being before others. I'm not perfect. Not even close. I've certainly done things I regret, said things I wish I could take back. Of course I have. I'm fully aware how negative thoughts are powerful. But I also know that love is more so. I'm not a saint, but I will attest to the fact that we all have the power to choose love. Love is the only way to end the duality and move into unity. encourage you to embrace and understand this reality too. Now, I'm a self-professed rule breaker, so please don't confuse me with a fully righteous, holier than holy person who does everything by the book or is never in the wrong. That's simply not the case. I always follow my intuition and do leave my logical mind and society imposed rules in the dust. However, if I were to look very closely into the force that guides me along my own soul works, there's always one golden rule I always strive to maintain. What would love do? What would love do? That's it, the golden rule, the mantra of all mantras. Quite simple, really. I want you to remember there are always two sides of the story. And remember to act out of a place of love. Now, I'm not asking you to let people walk all over you and to love them anyway. Nor am I telling you to love the situation you are in without striving to make it better. I'm asking that you love yourself and honor your feelings, but also see the other side of the situation and honor all those involved. Literally, I'm asking you to be conscious of how you choose to react and utilize your energy while here on this earth. That's it. Always choose love. Your move. Show some respect. Respect yourself and each other for what we all have to offer, and always see the potential in all people. Know that we are all gathered here for a reason. Know that we all do important work. Believe in your ability to represent spirit, and believe in others who have been called to do this work as well. If you ever think that your work is better or lesser than anyone else, I want you to shift your perspective and remember that you've come to live here in a state of love. So have the rest of us. That does not mean that we all have to be best friends, but it does mean that we have to get along, rise above the drama. What would love do? Honor everyone's space. The energy of this earth is already very big, and every one of us is sensitive to how we feel around this additional energy. We must remember to be sensitive and observant of our own process while honoring all others. Remember, we're all just trying to find our way. If you think people are being too loud, too quiet, too sensitive, too expressive, too demanding, too submissive, too open, too closed, too negative, too positive, too weak, too confident, I want you to look again and also note of how you are being. Honor that some people are private. Some people love to visit and others prefer to listen. I want you to always honor both sides. And then when dealing with any situation, remember to think, what would love do? How would love react? Bring positive energy to the table. I realize we all have bad days, but please remember to leave old energy patterns and negativity behind. This may be difficult when you start to realize how many negative thoughts you have in a day. But start by implementing small and steady changes, one step at a time. Aim for at minimum more positive thoughts in a day than negative ones. We are here to enjoy life. There's no need to complain about anything. Be conscious of what vibe you are bringing to the table and come from a place of love and gratitude. There are 2 types of guidance systems. The goal is to listen with your higher self of love, not fear. Acceptance, not judgment. And isolation. This state of mind becomes easier to achieve the more it becomes your norm. How would love want you to learn and grow from this situation? Inspire. We are here to help people learn, grow, and become closer to spirit. This can only be accomplished when we strive to do the same and to do so in a positive fashion. Please remember to respect each and every person in this world and strive to honor and respect their journey. If the words you utilize are not uplifting, motivational, or conducive to healing, strive to change them. Love can be tough, but it does not need to scare or intimidate. Every day is magical. Every day we have the potential to make it an amazing one for everyone. What would love do? And finally, engage in community spirit. This does not mean we must always give our energy fully to all those around us. Nope. This means that we are striving to build a peaceful world and that we respect what we all have to offer. If ever there's a situation that makes you feel defensive, scared, fearful, resentful, negative, unworthy, angry, or belittled, I want you to remember that you are the one in control of how you will react. Choose love. And if I have ever done that to any of you listening, I extend my sincere apologies and love and compassion and the full awareness that we are all just trying to find our way. And I know that and appreciate your involvement in my life along the way.